warning. This show features dark subjects which may be triggering to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Chaos Jar. I'm the announcer, J. West Secord. I'm also the loud and obnoxious one. I already fucked up my intro. Next to me, we have the host and big bag of facts, Bad Ben.
Hey.
And as always, I have a joke based around the fact that I'm so used to having a third co-host. Now, for those who want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BAChaosJar. Or you can follow me on Twitter at I'm Glad You Asked _ Please ask me questions. Please. And you can follow... I'm so alone! And as always, you can follow us on Facebook at Chaos Jar Podcast, which is also the name of our YouTube channel for your friends who aren't savvy with the podcast community. You can also be a patron at patreon.com/chaosjar. Right over here, in the link below. I'm pointing at it. You can't see, but I'm definitely pointing at it.
Right here.
Right here. Right here. But if you didn't see that and didn't catch on to that, it's going to be in the show notes down below. And I believe that's everything. Now, what's going in the jar today, my friend?
We're going to talk about United Flight 629.
I love Lost.
I wish. So, in order to talk about this, let's first talk about the city of Longmont, Colorado.
Oh, I love that show. With the fat kid and everything?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh,
South Park.
Yeah, it's Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the joke was. You had to make me explain it, so now it's not funny. Fuck you.
I love that this is about a long mountain. Like, Longmont is about a long mountain. Like, that's what it's named for. And then you have South Park. Like,
no, not even relevant.
Yeah.
I can't follow that one.
The city of Longmont, Colorado is the 14th most populous city in the state at 98,711 people. It's named after Long's Peak, which is a mountain that was named after Stephen Long, who was a civil engineer and inventor, and mainly he invented things in the design of steam locomotives.
Where and in fact, those are long.
Yeah. Ha! Like, So, Longmont was founded in 1871 by a group of people from Chicago. Originally called Chicago, Colorado Colony.
Did they go over the alliteration on purpose?
I just love how, like, direct... This is the Chicago, Colorado Colony. Or the Triple C.
We are the CCC.
It's funny because the men sold memberships in the town. So, in order to purchase land in this town, you needed to go to the town hall and buy memberships to the town. Or you need to be a CCC member.
The world's first subscription service.
Yeah. So, the first planned community in Boulder County, the city streets are laid out in like a real grid plan, within a square mile. And then the city began to really grow from agricultural communities. Like, it was a real farm town for a long time. And then, as time went on, the railroad came through. And by 1940, it had grown. The city had grown past its original intended limits. So
into a Gron.
Yeah, into a Gron. In 1925, the Ku Klux Klan gained control of the city's council in an election.
So CCC turned into KKK.
What I love is that it says that they gained control of the city's council, like the city council, in an election. So they were elected as Ku Klux Klan members. I just feel like somebody was like, and So we can go with these people who want to see us progress and grow as a community and be a better city, or we can just vote for the Ku Klux Klan. Oh, I'm down.
Honestly, I bet you anything, they were just confused and thought that they were electing a wizard and misinterpreting the term.
The mayor's the Grand Wizard.
Oh man, like tomes and shit? He can use magic to progress.
There's been a drought lately?
Rain dance for us!
They began a construction of a large pork barrel project known as, they also did the Chimney Rock Dam and marched up and down the street. They also marched up and down the street of Main Street.
Dance from the the 60s or something.
The Chimney Rock Dam.
All right, everybody. Let's do the Chimney Rock Dam. Look at the smoke coming out.
So then they also marched up and down the street of Main Street in their costumes. And now I can picture them doing that dance in the Ku Klux Klan.
The one that I just did?
Yeah, that's all I can think of. So, in the 1927, so they were elected in 1925, and in the 1927 election, they were voted out.
Oh!
And their influence completely declined, and of course, work on the Chimney Rock Dam was abandoned.
Oh! That's what a Grand Wizard is.
Yeah.
Wow. We really actually hated this dance from the beginning.
We really messed up.
Let's kick them out and their stupid dance.
Yeah. So it was abandoned as unfeasible, and the foundation is still visible in the St. Vrain River. So they just basically were like, well, we have this half-finished dam, but fuck it. During the 1960s, they built a Denver Air Route Traffic Control Center in Longmont, so that way airplanes could fly a route over it. And IBM built a manufacturing and development campus near the city. And the agriculture was slowly replaced with more high-tech industries until it became no longer a agricultural city whatsoever, and in fact is the home of many companies like Seagate and Amgen.
Sorry, what?
Amgen, that's what it is.
Amgen.
Yeah, Amgen.
I like Amgen.
Amgen.
Like, we don't worry. We'll make sure that you can get a call to your Gam.
However, Amgen closed in its campus in 2015. However,
explains why I've never heard of it.
In April 2009, GE Energy Company, so the General Electric company, relocated its control solutions business to the area. So they lost a big company, but kind of gained an even bigger company.
Yeah, Jesus, that's a huge one to get.
The downtown Main Street was nearly dead in the 1980s, but saw a real revitalization in the 1990s and in the 21st century. It's now full of a lot of new urbanist projects. So they're trying anything that's kind of known as more like a prospect or a progressive move. They're trying to
they're trying to mine for gold.
No. I would love. All right, Main Street's dead. Let's blow it up. Man, those potholes are bad. What potholes? Those are mine holes. Those are mine shafts.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm starting to realize the reason these pun jokes get fucking hilarious is because just watching your face go, no, wait. And then you're like, wait. Can you imagine? You just...
I get lost in this, I'm like, no, that's not what's happening. Fuck. And then I get lost in the thought of it. So...
I'm very good at that. ADHD is fuck, what's the word? Contagious.
There we go.
God, I almost choked.
Longmont was also the site of Colorado's first library when it lasted up to a year before the collection of 300 books was lost. I remember reading this last night and being like, it's been a year, where's all the books? people kept checking them out. And nobody brought them back.
I mean, like, could have brought him back.
Yeah. Can you imagine those, like, late fees?
And they never, like, remembered any fucking... And clearly none of the same customers came back.
Yeah.
Because they didn't charge them or ask where the books were.
Yeah. That would be even worse. It's the same people just coming in and being like, yeah, I'm going to check this out. And beep. How'd you enjoy that other book? Oh, I'm still reading it.
Yeah, like, there's no awkwardness of it. Funny thing, our local library doesn't charge late fees anymore.
I know.
I just recently learned that.
Yeah.
I might go check the library.
Because they need to bring in more traffic because of the cutting of the budget by the government.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
The government in Canada Town, USA, Middle Dakota.
Our local, not our local government, but our state government, kind of.
I almost said provincial.
Yeah. So, in May 2013, the Longmont City Council, which used to be run by the KKK, voted to finance and build its own municipal gigabit data fiber optic network to every house and business over a 3-year period starting in late 2013. So far, no updates.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nobody's confirmed or denied whether or not this has happened. I couldn't find a single fucking article.
This is as vague as Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah.
And for those who don't get that joke, look it up.
So the top 10 employers in Longmont are the St. Vrain Valley Schools at 3,960 employees, Seagate Technology at 1,381 employees, Longmont United Hospital, Digital Globe at 918, Intrado, which I'm not sure what that is.
It's a city in Canada.
Intrado. I think I've been there before. Circle Graphics at 590, Federal Aviation Administration at 543, City of Longmont at 818, which is to be considered because the city's obviously going to employ a lot of people. McLean Western at 435 employees, and Crocs at 370. Crocs.
Like the shoe?
Yeah. They have a company. They have like a headquarters in this city.
Longmont.
Yeah. They're also the home of Sol, which is the world's largest sticker ball.
They named him Sol.
Yeah. He was made by Sticker Giant, which is a custom sticker and label printing company on the city's east side.
Do they occasionally just go in and be like, one more for the day?
Yeah. So, notable people. Astronaut Vance D. Brand, who is still alive. He was like, he was one of the few astronauts that went out after the space race was like done and over, and they started working with the Soviets on it.
Oh, yeah.
2009 World Bull Riding Champion Cody Lostro, who was born in March of 1985. He retired in 2018.
When a bull stabbed him with his horns.
No,
and he died.
He raises bucking bulls currently with his wife Candace, who is a barrel racer. I just love this idea.
Barrel racer?
Yeah, a barrel racer.
What's that?
Where you jump in a barrel and roll down a hill.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing.
I got nothing for that. Like, it kind of writes itself, that joke.
So Peter Adeny, who is a 47-year-old Canadian, set up a headquarters for his blogging company. He is better known as Mr. Money Mustache, which is a popular finance blog. Fun fact, his brother is Chris Adeny, better known by his indie rock stage name, Wax Mannequin, who is super huge into the psychedelic folk scene.
There was so much there that I don't know what to touch on. Do I touch on the psychedelic folk scene? Waxy Mustache. Is that what his name is?
Nope, Waxy Mannequin is the guy.
Waxy Mannequin.
But it's Mr. Money Mustache.
Mr. Money Mustache, or the fact that there is a whole company dedicated to a blog. A whole company dedicated to a fucking blog.
He makes enough money that he made a headquarters in a country he doesn't live in a state that's up in the mountains.
That's because he can? The idea of a blog is it's one person writing it.
He's so I looked him up a little bit, and his pattern is more of like the 4% theory, which is that a person should be able to take 4% of his savings of the money that you make. You should only ever spend 4% on yourself. And that's how he and his wife managed to buy all this extra real estate, made money off that, he retired. He made enough money off that to retire from his job and start a blogging company, which then gained so much extra because of the fact that he's a self-made success that he then was able to build this. The whole story is amazing.
Okay. Well, let's move on because it's not dark enough for this show.
And then this was the most interesting one for me. Actress and comedian Kristen Schaal, who voices Louise on Bob's Burgers, and Mabel Pines from Gravity Falls.
I love her so much. Like, I loved her before she was even on
Bob's Burgers.
Voice actor. My first interaction with her was Flight of the Conchords.
I knew her from a couple movies that she didn't really get a lot of credit for, and then I also watched Last Man on Earth.
The Last Man on Earth.
Yeah, I loved that show, and that was good.
The show's so good. I had theories about that show.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later.
Yep. So, now we're going to get down to the flight, United Airlines Flight 629.
The point of the story.
Yeah, so for this, we're going to have to go all the way back to when this was a farming community, November 1st, 1955. So, 629 originated in New York City, and it flew to Chicago, and then continued to Denver's Stapleton Airfield. Landed at 6:11 p.m. on November 1st, and it was 11 minutes late. I love how that's part of this article. So at Denver, the aircraft refueled, and then the crew was replaced, and the crew was replaced with Captain Lee Hall, who was a World War II veteran, and he took command. And it was headed off to Portland and then to Seattle. And then from there, it was going to be sent back the other way and then go off to New York. So the flight took off at 6:52, and at 6:56, it's made its last transmission, stating that it was passing the Denver Omni. And then 7 minutes later, Stapleton air traffic controllers saw two bright lights and then suddenly appeared in the sky. Both lights were observed 30 to 45 seconds. And both fell to the ground at roughly the same speed. The controllers then saw a bright flash, and there was just basically, they saw this thing explode. The mysterious lights were determined to be that the aircraft had exploded and that there was no distress beacon put out there, so nobody knew what had happened to this plane. And around this time, it was flying over Longmount, and telephone calls started coming in from farmers and other residents who had seen, heard, witnessed the explosion, and were watching as debris was falling from the sky, including seats filled with passengers.
For a second, I thought you were going to say seen, heard, and felt.
Yeah.
I'm
sure a few of them felt it.
And then the people in the plane, man, this plane!
This plane just fucking exploded. So, anyway, seats with bodies in them were hitting the ground. Some made dents as big as 8 inches into the ground. Oof. They're hitting with a lot of impact. Actually, for years after this, the farmers, when they were tilling through or trying to, dig up crops and stuff, would find debris pieces from the airplane. So this is how...
It's a big machine. I wouldn't be surprised you keep finding little pieces, right?
Yeah, but it exploded. Sometimes when they explode, they kind of just hit in a general area. This was literally just it's scattered everywhere.
How are you arguing with my imagination of that and not making it seem more like pieces would be going everywhere?
Well, just because the science of how these aircrafts explode most of the time is that something goes wrong inside of it, and then they collide with the ground. But for it to explode in midair...
Yeah, I heard explode in midair, and I didn't think science.
I didn't think science.
I thought, boom, 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 and then shrapnel everywhere.
Well...
And people.
Yeah.
And people shrapnel.
People shrapnel. So, basically all 44 people aboard were killed instantly. And it was, like, all of this was scattered across 6 square miles, or 16 kilometers, throughout the county. So, they did a pretty big examination of anything that they could from it to try and see if it was a mechanical error, something that leaked. Major portions of the wings and engines were found in craters that were 150 feet apart, so just literally scattered.
Everything flew.
Yeah, it was all over. A large load of fuel ignited on impact, according to the fire patterns, and the fires were so intense that despite efforts to extinguish them, they continued to burn for 3 days. So that was how much, they just refueled this thing. So it's got a lot of extra. I couldn't imagine being a farmer trying to go out there and, try and save someone and be like, well, that fire's not going out.
I can't imagine being a farmer and going, well, fuck, this year's crop is ruined.
Yeah. Watch the crops burn for 3 days because you can't stop it.
Oh, that land's not going to be fertile again. Apparently, he's smoking a cigarette, too.
He's fucking Joe Exotic. I'll never financially recover from this.
I'll never. You know what? I should start with tigers.
Yeah. That's how Joe Exotic was born.
That's the part of the story you didn't learn.
Yeah. So there was early speculation that something other than a mechanical problem or pilot error was responsible, given the magnitude of the air explosion. On November 2nd, so the very next day, the New York Times reported witnesses of the tragedy and what he heard. Conrad Hopp, who is a farmer who lives right near the crash scene, said that he and his family heard a big explosion. It sounded like a big bomb went off, and I ran out and I saw a big fire right over the cattle corral. I hollered back to my wife she better call the fire department and ambulance because the plane was going to crash. I turned around and it blew up in the air. So, like I said, all 44 people were killed. The age ranges of the victims were 13 months to 81 years. The 13-month-old is one of the saddest ones because he was off. So he was the child of a man, of a soldier who was stationed in Japan. And his father hadn't seen him since his birth. So he was flying to Japan for his father to see him for the first time as So it's such a sad thought.
Look, we got a third host.
Yep. So
as I said that, it just pops
up. The investigation continues and determines that the aircraft disintegrated near the tail of it, and that's where the fuselage would have been. The fuselage, that would have been the tail end of the fuselage, and that would have been where some of the pieces of the cargo had been stored. The fuselage has been completely shattered by the force of the explosion. It was strong enough to cause extreme fragmentation of the entire aircraft. So like I said, everything's scattered. It was so intense that investigators thought it was unlikely to have been caused by any aircraft system or component. There was also a strong smell of explosives on items from number 4 baggage compartment, which was at the back of the plane. So
you think there might have been a bomb?
Yeah, but the problem they're having with this is that as the FBI started to look into it, there wasn't anybody famous on this flight. Nobody of real... I'm not going to say nobody important, but nobody of any significance to the... nobody of real influence.
Mm.
So, what would be the point, right?
Failed hijacking?
So suspicions that a bomb had been placed in the luggage loaded aboard the aircraft when it was fueled were discovered by 4 pieces of unusual grade sheet metal covered in a gray soot, and further testing of the cargo pitch showed that each piece was contaminated with chemicals known to be the byproduct of a dynamite explosion. The origin was believed to be a passenger's luggage piece. So basically they tested this metal and found like the extra nitrogen that would come from a TNT explosion.
Maybe the person was just stupid and trying to transport their TNT, not realizing that it's very, like,
not
unstable.
A good idea. So the FBI got involved, certain that the aircraft had been brought down by a bomb, and they performed background checks on all the passengers. In the early stages of the investigation, the investigators discovered that at the time of the crash, United Airlines management was locked in a dispute with a local airline union, leading to a theory that this might be a bombing from that union in an attempt to damage United Airlines' reputation. But this was later proven false in the investigation.
Yeah, because, like, Jesus Christ, like, you're going to be that aggressive with your marketing tactics? Jesus.
So, after initial checks, they focused their efforts on Denver locals, citing that they may have had personal enemies. A few passengers had purchased life insurance at the airport just before boarding. So I'm gonna say this right now. At this time, in the 1950s, you could buy airline insurance, airline life insurance, through a vending machine. So people would be flying out and then just be like, oh, I'll pay some money here. Here we go. Like, I got life insurance. So,
airline life insurance.
Just in case the plane decides to crash. So
I'm going to get a good payout today.
One of the people who was insured was Daisy Eldora King, who was 53. She was a Denver businesswoman who was en route to Alaska to visit her daughter. She had 3 life insurance policies taken out from the Denver airport through that vending machine. One paying out to her daughter, Helen. Another one paying out to her sister, who they never name. And a third one being paid out to her son, John Gilbert Graham. So, agents identified her handbag and found a number of newspaper clippings containing information about King's son, John.
Her son? He has the name of a founding father.
I know. And John was not actually a unknown to the law. So, John was arrested on forgery charges in Denver in 1951. But he has a bigger track record. But let's just go back through his own life. And we'll go back to January 23rd, 1932, when he's born in Denver. His mom is Daisy Graham. And his father is not named, but his father died when he was 3 years old. He was actually the second child to Daisy. And she had her daughter Helen from a previous marriage. And Graham was born at the height of the Great Depression, so in 1937, when his dad did die, this caused Daisy to send Helen off to live with family, and then to a boarding school. And John instead, who at this point was nicknamed Jack, was sent to an orphanage. And in 1941, Daisy was married for a third time to Earl King, who died shortly after their marriage. And despite her inheritance from King being very, very worthwhile, it was a lot of wealth. Like, she basically went from being poor and broke and not able to raise either of her kids to being able to bring Helen back and have all this extra money from her husband dying, and even managed to invest in several businesses, but she never went and collected Jack from the orphanage. She just let him stay there. They remained estranged until about 1954, when Graham was 22 years old, and his mother bailed him out of jail. He was in jail because he had, at the age of 16, he had tried to join up with the Marines, but got caught, and he was sent off to a military prison for false documents. But then, despite having that and having only a grade 9 education, he went off to university and didn't graduate, but managed to, this is alleged, there's nothing showing that he graduated. However, he managed to have some sort of degree in accountancy, and from that he managed to get a payroll clerk job where he would then make fake payroll employees cash their checks, and then when his employers caught on, he made a bolt for Texas in a stolen pickup truck that later got run over by police, and then they extradited him back to Colorado to face. So he's not a good dude, but
maybe if he was taken out of an orphanage.
Yeah. So for all that, he spent 60 days in jail, and then he was released, and he managed to get a decent job working in an industrial firm as a laborer. However, that fell through, and his mother had actually bought him and his now wife, Gloria, and their 2 kids a house to live in, and Gloria and Helen moved back to Denver from Texas at one point and lived there before Helen flew off to Alaska to start her life there. And then Daisy was going to go out there as well. But in order to keep Jack employed, she actually opened up a restaurant that she hoped would be successful and made him in charge of managing it. However, she wouldn't let him properly manage it, so the restaurant floundered because anytime that he tried to make any changes or do anything, she nixed it. So eventually, this really soured their relationship as well. And so, like I said, she was trying to run a successful restaurant that wasn't going very well, and she obviously blamed him for it.
Even though she was preventing him from doing anything.
And in 1955, so we're in 1955, actually in the spring of 1955, shortly before all this happened, Daisy's restaurant that Jack was working at had a suspicious gas explosion, and the insurance money Graham had taken out property insurance on the restaurant despite not owning it. And it paid up to him.
Interesting.
So,
Graham!
So Graham held a grudge against his mom for placing him in the orphanage as a child, but was the beneficiary of one of her policies and her will. He actually was the beneficiary. So these policies that were purchased at the Denver airport, one only paid out $5,000 in the 1950s money, and it was paid out to her sister. And then Helen's one was only $6,000, and it was paid out to her. Graham's was worth $37,500, which is equivalent in 2020 funds to $360,000.
What about 2021 funds?
I have no fucking idea.
Ugh.
I'm guessing like fucking $360 $10. I don't know. So, Graham's mother had been a passenger aboard Flight 629 to go to Alaska, see his Graham's half-sister. At the time of the flight insurance could be purchased through vending machines, like I said. And that system changed. Guess when it changed?
Was it after this?
No. Well, it's after this, but what year do you think it changed?
The year after this?
No.
Oh.
It changed in 1982. You could buy flight insurance at an airport through a vending machine until 1982.
What happened in 1982?
Fuck if I know.
You're pointing it out like I'm supposed to know something.
I just love that you could do that till the 1980s, and then they're like, maybe it's not a good idea for us to be, allowing flight insurance to be happening, at an airport through a vending machine. In fact, for that $37,500, Graham only paid $1.50 to get that life insurance on his mom. I want you to think about that. He paid $1.50, and they're basically paying him $37,000.
Wait a second. So they discovered that he had bought the life insurance?
Yeah, they discovered this.
Did you actually mention that part? Or
Yep, they discovered that she was insured with 3 policies.
No, they discovered that she was insured, but you didn't clarify that he took out the policy.
So, well, that's all part of this. They went deep into it, and then they discovered that in her own belongings, there was some of this material as well, and newspaper clippings about her son, who was already a criminal that was known for forgery.
For Jerry.
Yeah. So, agents discovered that the restaurant, it was called the Crown A Drive-In in Denver, was badly damaged in an explosion, and that he already collected insurance for this after that blast, and thought, that's a little suspicious. They went deep into his criminal record, found all that embezzlement with the check forgery, and while doing this, he also was illegally transporting whiskey, and he spent 60 days in jail for all of that. And so...
Was this during Prohibition?
No.
No. Okay.
So they're really like, this is fucking weird. Also, after all of this, and he had gotten out of jail, and when he was running that restaurant, he had bought himself a new pickup truck that got struck by a train that same year. And collected on that insurance.
I knew that was coming. And it had insurance.
Damn right. So, I just love the idea of this guy going and parking a truck on a train track and being like, that'll do it. And then it gets hit by the train. And then I can't imagine having to try and explain... Nowadays, trying to explain that... So I parked it on the train tracks. Why would you do something so stupid? I thought it was safe.
Yeah. Fucking, what is it? Like, series of unfortunate events?
Yeah.
When he parks the car on the train tracks with the kids in it? And he's in the gas station pretending like he's, look at this. What a great newspaper article.
Yeah. So, they went and searched Graham's house and his car. Because in the article they say his automobile. And they found wire and other bomb-making parts in the garage. Other bomb-making parts. Which are identical to those found in the wreckage. So then they also found the life insurance policies. However, Mrs. King had not signed any of the policies. And that rendered them worthless.
Fucker.
Yeah. So Graham told the FBI that his mother had packed her own suitcase. However, his wife Gloria revealed that Graham had wrapped a Christmas present for his mother to bring with her on the flight to drop off at at his sister's place.
Was it near Christmas at the time?
Yes, it's November 1st.
Cool.
She's flying out there to visit for Christmas. She's going to be in Alaska. What I love, though, is the idea of him being like, I don't know, she packed her own fucking suitcase, and the wife being like, no, you had that Christmas present, remember? And him being like, shut up.
I mean, no, it was a dolly for my sister.
The worst thing about this, though, was that Daisy King liked to check all her luggage. She didn't like to have any of it stored. She liked to have it on the flight with her in the overhead compartments. So, unfortunately, because of some of the luggage she was bringing, it was a little too heavy. So there was 2 things that she was given an option. One was she could pay a fee and have the extra luggage put on, but checked underneath in the bottom compartments, like in the lower compartments of the cargo. Or she could unpack everything extra and have it shipped off to Alaska. So she told Jack here that those were the options, and Jack was like, oh, whatever, we'll just pay the extra and make sure that it all stays on there, and was insisting that she not unpack the suitcase. I just love the idea of him being like, this is fucking foolproof. It's all a little too heavy. It feels like it's, maybe about 5 pounds too heavy.
Yeah.
So you know what? We can either charge you a little bit extra and you put something down in the bottom cargo compartment, or you can just ship off, something after you unpack it, whatever. And him being like, fuck.
No, foolproof plan. No, just here's $50. Put it under
You know
the
what? I spent $1.50 on life insurance. I mean, nothing.
I spent $1.50 on the plane ticket.
Yeah.
We're getting you on there. The plane ticket cost way more than that. Shut your fucking hole!
So, faced with all this mounting evidence and all these discrepancies in his story, on November 13th, 1955, Graham finally confessed to having placed the bomb in his mother's suitcase, and he told the police, quote, I then wrapped about 3 or 4 feet of binding cord around the sack of dynamite to hold the dynamite sticks in place around the caps. The purpose of the 2 caps was in case one of the caps failed to function and ignite the dynamite. I placed the suitcase in the trunk of my car, with another smaller suitcase, which my mother had packed to take with her on the trip. So he confessed this. So after Graham's arrest, Denver radio station KDEN, so Caden,
right?
The owner, Gene Amol.
It's not Caden?
No, Gene Amol. And Rocky Mountain News photographer Maury Engel. I love these names.
These are the names you see on fucking like anchors and,
I know.
And correspondents.
Gene Amol.
Yeah. Oh, the second one was
Maury
my favorite.
Engel.
This is CNN with Maury Engel.
So, they arranged to sneak a camera into the old Denver County Jail on West Colfax Avenue and interview Jack himself during a reunion with his wife, Gloria. I love it because she probably, he's like, she fucking got me. And then she's like, I want to see him. I still love him. So,
did you learn your lesson?
So,
yes.
Quote, I loved my mother very much. This is Jack. She meant a lot to me. It's very hard for me to tell exactly how I feel. She left so much of herself behind. End quote.
Over there, and over there, and over there.
Fucking dick, man.
That was probably the rudest joke we could make.
That's all I can think is the fact that he's like, she left a lot of herself behind, and he's probably thinking the same thing. Like,
yeah,
too much of herself. Like, so, Amol asked him why he had signed a confession. He said the FBI had threatened to point out inconsistencies in the statement made by his wife Gloria when she was interviewed by the authorities. Quote, I was not about to let them touch her in any way, shape, or form. So basically what he's saying is the only reason I confessed was because they were going to pin it on my wife.
Mm.
However, Jack also was known to be a very violent man and apparently had beat his wife a few times and had beat up his sister so bad that she had bruised ribs.
Ooh.
Also, Helen, his sister, stated that Daisy, the thing about loving his mother, Daisy stated that their mother was not a very loving, warm, or affectionate woman. She, in fact, did not let them call her mom, mother, any of that. She said, I am Mrs. King or Daisy.
She did seem like a cold businesswoman.
Yeah. So, this whole thing about him not wanting them to do anything to his wife really made the media portray him in a sympathetic tone. However, the FBI and United Airlines, they all worked with the district attorney, and they wanted him tried, found guilty, and executed properly as a deterrent for anyone who might try to copycat this plan.
Mm.
It was written in 1985 by the Rocky Mountain News that there was footage eventually aired on one of the local PBS stations in a documentary form known as Murder in Midair by Dan Kinney. And Graham also confirmed a number of occasions where he had made and set the bomb. So I feel like he just kept being like, oh, I'll make the bomb, I have the bomb made and I'll put it here. That's not going to work. Like, he just had this a bunch of times. He even gave details later that were later confirmed by investigators. So he would give details and then the investigators would be like, yeah, that matches up. Like, So Graham also told prison doctors that he realized that there were about 50 or 60 people who could be carried on a DC-6, which is the type of plane that 629 was, but the number of people to be killed made no difference to me. It could have been 1,000. When their time comes, there's nothing they can do about it. So he didn't give a flying fuck about anybody. He just cared about the money that would come from him killing his mom. So, authorities were shocked to discover that there was no federal statute on the books at the time that made it a crime to blow up an airplane.
Wait, what?
You could blow up an airplane and that wasn't illegal.
What?
Yeah. So in 1955, and any time before that, you could blow up a fucking airplane, not illegal.
It's okay, they're brand new. They can't blow up.
So, in order to prosecute Graham, on the day after his confession, the prosecutor had to go by the simplest route possible. So instead of getting all 44 victims on the books, they only charged him with premeditated murder committed against a single victim, his mom.
Jesus Christ!
So all these other people don't really get justice, they just get... But it's because there's nothing on the books that says it's illegal to blow up an airplane.
Like, just the idea that he planned it specifically for his mom, even though he manslaughtered the rest of the plane.
And openly stated that he didn't give a flying fuck how many people were aboard the fucking plane.
Yeah, but no, it's just, it was premeditated murder, that's it. Nothing more.
Yep, not illegal to blow up a plane. So,
Here.
It was also the first trial to ever be televised in Colorado. So, a motion by the defense attempted to have Graham's confession thrown out on the grounds that Graham had not been aware of his rights prior to the signing of it, and that motion was denied. This is pre-Miranda, so the Miranda system is where that whole you have to have your rights read to you, and you have to sign an acknowledgement that you have these rights to remain silent, and so on.
Why is it called the Miranda system?
Because of the guy who... it was based on an appeal that was done.
With Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah. I'm guessing.
No,
I don't know who that is.
That's the guy who wrote Hamilton.
Oh, okay. No, definitely not. That would be amazing. He got this done and then wrote Hamilton.
Those are the only two things he's done in his entire life.
Amazing.
He has a whole career, but nope. Those are the only two
He really
things.
made up for being in jail. I was like, yeah. Yes? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck you're going on about.
Yeah. Somehow I ask you what it is, and then produce the name of the person involved like that.
Yeah. So, I would love if that was something you knew offhand, and I'd be like, I don't even know that offhand. Okay.
Yeah. but you just accepted it, despite the fact that just before I asked you about it.
That sounds legit.
Oh, my face hurts on that one.
So yeah, they went with the simplest method ever. You killed your mom. Like, you plan to kill your mom.
Yeah.
So, he was charged with first-degree murder, and the case progressed. He quickly recanted his confession, and at one point even tried to commit suicide, which then landed him in 24-hour surveillance because he tried to kill himself. He just wasn't able... There was just nothing they had all this fucking evidence. Like, all of this.
Yeah.
So, he was convicted and sentenced to death on May 5th, 1956. Only convicted of his mother's murder. The following year, on January 11th, 1957, he was executed in the Colorado State Penitentiary gas chamber. So as a result of this aircraft explosion, and there not being any laws against it,
that is absurd.
A bill was introduced and signed by President Dwight D. Eisenhower on July 14th, 1956. legitimately, it took this explosion for him to be like, there's no law against it.
Oh my god.
And it basically the bill just states that the intentional bombing of a commercial airline is illegal. So, Graham was reportedly inspired to commit the crime after he heard of the Albert Gay affair, which is a guy in Quebec in 1949 who blew up a plane in a similar way. We'll actually cover that at some point, but he had a much more interesting life, and the case is way more convoluted, so...
Then why aren't we doing that one already?
Because I only discovered it when I was going over this one, so...
Fine.
So, I was actually planning on putting it all together and be like, oh, we'll just do this whole thing. But yeah, the modus operandi was completely the same. Just... There was an insurance thing, and the way he did this was through dynamite planted in a luggage. It just made so much sense.
Yeah.
United still uses flight number 629 on its Washington to Chicago route. So they just renamed a different plane and that's the route they use. The bombing of 629 is depicted in the opening segments of the 1959 film, The FBI Story. And Nick Adams portrays Jack Ram. I'm not even sure who Nick Adams is.
He's one of those brothers from the Disney band.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't know any more than I do.
No, I don't. In fact, I'm not even sure if you get my reference.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Nick Jonas.
Oh, I see. Oh, I wish I had caught that because I would have been like, oh, like Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
So the bombing was the subject of Time Bomb, which was the 4th episode in Season 1 of Investigation Discovery's A Crime to Remember. And that was aired December 3rd, 2013, which is right around the time that Longmount was trying to do that fiber optics thing. Maybe that stopped them. They were all like...
No, you know for a fact. They're like, oh shit. Someone's paying attention to this. Let's just stop.
Yeah. So, that's the whole story. He fucking got executed out, but he did all this because he was pissed at his mom and wanted the money.
Well, that was a silly story.
It was a crazy story.
Fucking... You know, it's not illegal to blow up a plane.
That's the part... So when I was going through the research and I was like, fucking seriously? Like, you could blow up a plane. So here's the thing. Think about if they couldn't prove that he had premeditated this thing against his mom. It's not illegal to blow up a plane. They can't even charge him with anything else. It's not illegal to blow up a plane.
And if he'd known that law, he probably could have got away. You know, it's a fucking... It's the equivalent of... Well, there's nothing in the rules that say a dog can't play basketball.
Yeah. All I can think of...
The dog makes the bomb?
Can't charge a dog for murder.
No, the rules say a dog can't make a bomb and blow up an airplane.
It's illegal to blow up a commercial airline now. Unless you're a dog. Nothing that says the dogs can't do it.
Yeah.
All I can think, too, is the fact that he did all this, and there's no law stating that it's illegal to blow up this thing. But there's a law that says that those vending machine life insurance are not valid if you fucking didn't sign it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's so true.
The insurance companies were way ahead of this game. They were like, somebody's gonna blow up a fucking plane one of these days.
Yeah. Fucking, I just gotta say, what an obscurely old 90s reference that, like, I think very few people even remember. Like, that thing had, like, absurd amounts of sequels, but they're all, like, directed DVDs,
I know.
So, like, no one probably even fucking remembers Air Bud.
Oh, God. And then all I can think to myself, too, is that and the nothing in the rules says a giraffe can't play football.
Yeah, what
Float eye.
Yes, that's right. You know, I feel like we have a few topics for the overflow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our show. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, rate and review. You know, all the chinky stuff. You know, oh god, that was a weird phrasing. Sagrif, take that out. I didn't mean to say that.
Put it on repeat.
Yeah, fuck.
The techno music again.
Yeah.
You know, guys, if you keep asking me to do songs like that, I can't do them because then they're going to be expected. I am ashamed and embarrassed for both of you. So as punishment, this.
You know, all the chinky stuff, chinky stuff, chinky stuff. You know, all the chinky stuff, chinky stuff, chinky stuff. Take that out.
I do hope you have learned your lesson and will do better in the future. Now back to your regularly scheduled outro.
That, honestly, no, I apologize for anyone, like, I keep trying to make weird sound words, and somehow they sound like racial slurs, and I always go, oh shit! That happened.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, that was not intentional. I apologize for that. But yeah, rate, review, like, subscribe, hit that little notification bell thing, you know, the usual. And if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BA Chaos Jar. Or you can follow me on Twitter at I'm Glad You Asked _ You can also follow us on Facebook at Chaos Jar Podcast. And which is also the name of our YouTube channel, so follow our YouTube channel at Chaos Jar Podcast. And lastly, if you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/chaosjar. Give us a little bit of money. We'll give you some, like, I don't know, some sort of early exclusive content. And you can watch our other shit there, too. I know, you love it. All in the show notes and more. Well,
before you end it all, there is one thing I have to do. So we're going to have a guest on here, maybe next recording, the recording after. And I'll be doing another wrestling story. And that guest is Justin Kuzno from Pods Unknown. And he'll be on there. You should check out Pods Unknown because it's fucking hilarious.
Oh, man.
They go over old wrestling shows, like ones that were on pay-per-view, and then they literally break down the entire show and go over, like, terrible ideas that happened in the show.
Holy shit. Well, you never told me this. Why did you wait till now?
Yes. I have to surprise you.
Oh, fuck. That's so cool. I'm, like, super excited. I know nothing about these people. Anyway.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah. Well, that's everything. Have a good night.